It starts in a way that doesn't look dangerous at all. There's no big loss, no dramatic failure. Just a normal day when you open your bank app and see your balance sitting at zero, maybe even a little below, and you tell yourself, it's fine, I'll fix it next month. But next month comes, and somehow, nothing really changes. Money comes and money goes out, and you end up right back at zero again. This is what I call the zero Indian rupees bank balance trap. And the scary part is most people don't even realize they're stuck in it, because on the surface, everything looks normal. You're earning, you're paying your bills, you're surviving, but deep down, you're not moving forward. And that's the difference, because being broke once is a situation, but staying at zero again and again, that's a pattern, and patterns don't break on their own. This is the story of Ryan. But if you pay attention, it might feel a little too familiar. Ryan had a decent income, not crazy high, but enough to live comfortably. Every month his salary would hit his account. And for a moment, he felt secure, like things were finally under control. He would pay his rent, clear a few expenses, maybe order something he'd been wanting, go out with friends, and slowly, without realizing it, his balance would start shrinking until one day it would hit zero again. And every single time, it felt like a surprise, even though it kept happening over and over again. And the worst part was, Ryan wasn't irresponsible. He wasn't wasting money blindly, at least that's what he believed, because from his perspective, everything he spent on felt justified: food, subscriptions, small comforts, occasional rewards, nothing extreme, nothing that screamed problem. But that's exactly why it was dangerous, because the zero Indian rupees trap doesn't come from one big mistake. It comes from 100 small ones that feel harmless. And this is where most people get it wrong. They think financial problems come from low income, but in reality, they come from unconscious spending, from not paying attention, from living on autopilot. Ryan never had a system. He never told his money where to go. So naturally, it went everywhere. And when money has no direction, it disappears slowly, silently, consistently. And then one day, something changed, not because he suddenly became motivated, not because he watched some magical video, but because he felt something deeper: frustration, real frustration, because he realized a painful truth. No matter how much he earned, he was always ending up at the same place, zero. And that's when it hit him. The problem wasn't his income, it was his pattern. And once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. Ryan started noticing his behavior, the small decisions, that it's just Indian rupees, oh, I deserve this, I'll manage later. And he realized these weren't random. They were habits, automatic reactions, and those habits were controlling his money, not the other way around. So instead of trying to change everything overnight, he did something simple. He paused before every non-essential expense, even for a few seconds, and asked himself one question: is this moving me forward or keeping me stuck? And that one question started changing everything, not instantly, not perfectly, but slowly. He became aware, and awareness is where control begins. Then he created a basic system. Nothing complicated, just dividing his money the moment it came in: essentials, savings, and spending. And the most important part, he paid himself first, not last, because earlier, savings were what was left at the end. And at the end, there was always nothing left. So he flipped it. Even if it was a small amount, he saved first and adjusted everything else around it. And for the first time, his bank balance didn't go back to zero. It stayed small, but real. And that changed something inside him, because it wasn't about the amount. It was about the proof that he was no longer stuck. Proof that he could actually move forward. And slowly, month by month, that zero started turning into something, and that something started growing. And more importantly, his identity started changing. He stopped seeing himself as someone who just gets by and started seeing himself as someone who manages money, someone who builds. And that shift matters more than any strategy, because your financial life doesn't change when you earn more. It changes when you handle what you already have differently. Now look at your own life. How many times have you hit zero and told yourself it's temporary? How many times has money come in and disappeared without you even realizing where it went? And how many times have you believed that the solution is just earning more? This is the harsh truth. If you don't fix the 0 Indian rupees bank balance habit, more income won't save you. It will just increase the scale of the problem, because the same patterns will still exist, just with bigger numbers. The real solution isn't complicated, but it's uncomfortable. It requires awareness, discipline, and small consistent actions. It requires you to stop living on autopilot and start making intentional decisions. It requires you to accept that every small expense matters, not because it's big, but because it's repeated, and repetition is what creates results, both good and bad. So if you feel stuck right now, don't wait for a higher salary. Don't wait for the right time. Start with what you have, notice your patterns, question your spending, build a simple system, and most importantly, stop letting your balance hit 0. Even if it's just by a small amount, protect that gap, because that gap is where your future starts. Now, imagine this 1 year from today. There are 2 versions of you. One who kept living the same way, earning, spending, hitting 0 again and again, and one who became aware, made small changes, and slowly built control over their money. Both had the same income, the same opportunities. The only difference was what they did after realizing the truth. So the question is, which one are you becoming? Because the decision isn't made in one big moment. It's made in small choices every single day. Every time you choose to spend or save, to ignore or pay attention, to stay stuck or move forward. And if this made you realize something about your own situation, don't ignore it, because awareness without action is just another form of delay. Take one small step today and break the cycle. Because the 0 Indian rupees bank balance trap is real, but it only controls you as long as you don't see it. And now, you do.